开始了。Hello everyone, welcome to my first ever knitting podcast. My name is Jingyi, and you can find me on Ravelry as Knitting Jingyi and on Instagram as Knit by Jingyi. I've been debating for quite a long time that if our knitting community needs another knitting podcast, given that there are so many people doing knitting podcasts on YouTube. But I've made my decision today because I just got home from my trip to Canada and I pick up some very lovely yarns, and there are a lot of exciting yarns and projects that I want to share with you. So I think without further ado, we can start now. So I will start with what I'm wearing today, and it's my most recent finished object actually, but I finished it in early August, so I haven't finished any actual garment for quite a while now, but this is what I'm wearing today. It's the square neck camisole. The designer is Helene on Instagram, and I knit a size extra small because I have a bust conference of 85 centimeter, which lands exactly in between the size extra small and small. And the pattern says go for the smaller size if you are in between, I think. Because the pattern says the garment will grow as time goes. So I chose the size extra small, but it fits me perfectly and I love wearing it. And what else? Oh, and the yarns. I knit this in the Garn Sunday, which is a fingering weight merino in the color Sea Breeze. I used about 1.5 skeins. I really like this color choice. I can show you some comparison. This is a yarn that I use. Unfortunately, I already lose the label, but I have Garn Sunday in a different color. I think this is called ice blue. Yeah, it's called ice blue. You can see these two colors in comparison. The one that I use, the Sea Breeze, has a little bit more green to it, and this is more of a light blue. It's a true blue. And I have three skeins of this ice blue. I will probably knit a vest with it. I also have mohair to pair with it. But right now I'm in love with this blue. This is the perfect blue for summer, I think, because it's very unique. And I bought this yarn in a local yarn shop. It's called Nordic Nest, and it's in San Carlos if you are in California. It's very close to the Bay Area. I think the Nordic Nest has a great selection of Garn yarns, and it was my first time actually seeing all those yarns in person, and I got to check their colors and feel the yarns, and it was very nice. I picked out this yarn and knit up this square neck camisole. And more about the pattern. I really like this square neck design, and I think it's my first successful summer knit because of the pattern's design, also the combination of the design with my yarn choice. Before, I think I knit with 100% cotton, which are not that elastic. I thought knitting with merino wool would make me very hot in the California summer days, but because of the skin exposure it has, it keeps me very comfortable, at least at home. And another thing about this design is that the straps are wide enough, and I can comfortably wear any bras I have and not worrying about changing the straps or anything. And I think I also like the side design very well. I will show you. Can you see it? It has some decrease on the side, but I think it's optional. But I chose to do it because it makes the piece looks very professional, and it sits around my waist very well. I think the only modification that I did to this pattern was the length. I got a bit impatient when knitting garments on 3mm needles, and you can see that it's maybe a bit too short, but if I wear a high-waisted pants, it's okay, and it looks really cute on me, I think. So going to the next finished object, I have the onyx mitts finished freshly yesterday. It was just blocking on my desk, and it's quite damp right now, but I will still put it on for you guys. So this is the first pair of mittens that I've ever knitted. It's a free pattern on Ravelry called Onyx Mitt. Designer is Universal Yarn Design Team. Oh, and everything I mentioned in this podcast will be linked down below. I knit a size medium. I think it fits a bit loosely, especially on my wrist, because I have a small wrist. So I would actually prefer the pattern to let me do some decrease on the wrist side. But everything else, I think this is really lovely. The yarn I use is Lanagado Prestige. It's a spot weight yarn, and it's 100% cashmere. Let me find the yarn and tag to show it to you. So this is the tag of the yarn, and this is how much left. The yarn comes in with a 25 gram per ball. So I basically use one ball of the yarn for one mitten, and I switch to the other when I'm knitting the other mitten. And this is how much yarn I left. I just weighed it. It was 8 gram. So I used in total of 42 gram of the yarn to knit a pair of medium-sized mittens. I can't tell you much about the feel because the mitten is quite damp right now, but I can tell during working on the project, the cashmere is really, really soft and really, really light actually. But I will keep it here to keep on blocking. And another thing about the yarn is the color is 12504. I tried to find a name for it, but I couldn't. But I will link the web page. But I will link the website down below to find this color. The photo on the website look a bit more gray, but I will say that the finished object is more blue. So if you love blue, don't be fooled by the pictures on the website. It's not gray, it's actually blue, it's very blue. And next we can go to the work in progress. Oh, this comes the exciting part because I am currently working on this. This is the Friday tee by PetiteKnit, and I'm knitting the size of extra small using the famous Mondim yarn, and it's a fingering weight merino. No, it's not a merino, it's a fingering weight wool. The pattern actually calls for Sandiscan Sunday, which is merino. But I caught up and found this yarn in a yarn shop in Calgary when I was visiting Calgary last several weeks back. And I really love this yarn. I never touched this yarn or look at the yarn before I went to Calgary. I don't think there's any local yarn shop that carries this yarn. So I got very excited to find this yarn. It's a bit scratchy, to be honest. And the pattern actually calls for Sunday Gone Sunday, which is 100% merino. But I love this yarn too much. I have to use it for the tea. I actually tried it on several days back. Because of the high neck, it's a little bit scratchy on my neck, but it's not as comfortable as merino wool, definitely. But knitting with this yarn is such a lovely experience. I think the color combos are so nice, and the texture is a little bit scratchy and sheepy, but I love it so much. So my only concern is that it will be a little bit too warm as a short sleeve t-shirt. So I might play the yarn tricking a little bit to see if I can make it long sleeve. So it's more suitable for the weather, and more suitable for this yarn. And I haven't talked about the color yet. This is, I believe, let me check my note. This is 100. This is also Mondim, and the color, the main color is this white. It's 100, called undyed white. And this one is the contrast color. I think the number is 109, and it's called orchata. And I Google searched a little bit on what is orchata. It seems like it's a beverage made of plant milk, and that was pretty interesting to me because I picked this color thinking this is exactly the color of milk tea. Oh, and such a coincidence. And with the main color, it's a very neutral and muted combo. So that's the work in progress. And I haven't talked about where I bought this yarn, which I'm very excited, because I bought this yarn during my trip to Calgary, Canada, and I found a very lovely local yarn shop called Stash Lounge, and I will talk about more about this yarn shop in my acquisition. Yeah, so that's my work in progress, and I've worked on this project mostly in my trip to Canada. And after I bought this yarn, I have to cast this on. So, and I also have a photo in my Instagram of me knitting this by Lake Louise, waiting for sunrise. I think it's really special that you pick up some yarn during your travel and also knit along with it during your trip. Every time you pick it up or you wear it as a finished object, you will always think about that trip, isn't it? And next work in progress is a sock. It looks like this. It's actually a male sock. I'm knitting for my boyfriend. I'm just using the Crazy Socks Ladies vanilla sock pattern, which is my favorite. And to be honest, it's my first time knitting with hand dye yarn. I thought I only love solid color and those very muted colors. But when I saw this hand dye yarn in my local yarn shop, I have to pick it up because firstly it's blue, and there are many kinds of blue within this yarn. It's really pretty knitting up, and I love the knitting experience as well. The yarn is, I don't know why my yarn looks like this right now, but I still have the labels saved. The yarn is called Crowning Yak Fingering by Circus Tonic Handmade Australia, and the content has 70% of the merino, 20% of the yak, and 10% of nylon. So I think the color, not only the color is special, but the content, 20% yak, which gives the fiber a little bit of the glow, almost like you held a strand of mohair with it. And it's not scratchy at all. It's super soft, and I hope it will make a very comfortable and warm sock for winter. Yeah, so that's a work in progress. I thought I'm going to finish it during August because I have a kind of long commute and I always knit it in the car, but seems like it's going to be my September sock. Yeah. I'm drinking this tea. It's called Maple Espresso Black Tea Blend from Trader Joe's. And I'm drinking it from a cup that I bought from Canada by Emerald Lake in Banff National Park. So it's a very lovely mug with a lot of people skiing. So it's also a good souvenir that I look at it and bring me back to the traveling time. Next is acquisitions. This is my most exciting part because I pick up a lot of lovely yarn from Canada that I want to show you guys. The first is this yarn. This is called Moor Spinner 2-ply yarn by Custom Woolen Mills. It looks like this. Hopefully you are in focus camera. It's a very lovely heathered brown with some white in it, and the colorway is number 4. I think on the website the color's name is natural dark gray, but it's not dark gray to me. It's more brown tone. I bought it in Stash Lounge, which is the lovely yarn shop in Calgary. I walk into the yarn shop and asking the staff that I want to pick some Canadian yarns because I was traveling, and the staff recommended this yarn to me because it's 100% natural wool grown and processed in Canada. And I think the mill is in Alberta, so it's in Canada, and the sheep is also from Canada. So it will make a very special souvenir to me. I really love this color because I always wanted to knit a perfect heathered cardigan, but without mohair, because I've already knitted 4 or 3 cardigans, all with mohair, and I just want to have a vacuum break. So I'm thinking it would be nice if I can just have a very squishy and warm cardigan without mohair that I can just throw on. And I think this color will go well with anything, and it will turn into the season's cardigan, and I can see myself casting it on very, very quickly. So that's that. So the next acquisition I have is this qiviut yarn. Please focus. So with my current camera setup, I can't really tell if it's in focus or not, but I hope it will do the magic. So this yarn is called qiviut, and it's wound up by the Windy Valley Musk Ox Company or mill, I suppose. I bought this yarn when I was in Banff National Park. I was very surprised to find a yarn shop in a national park. but it's located in the hotel by Lake Louise. What's the name? Fairmont Chatty Lake Louise, which is the famous hotel by Lake Louise, and there is a yarn shop there is a yarn shop there. It has a wall of this qiviut yarn and also some finished up and some knitted garment in this yarn. So the yarn that I picked has 15% of qiviut. So qiviut, let me see. So qiviut is the very fine undercoat of musk ox, and musk ox is I think it's a prehistoric mammal living in the Arctic Circle, which keeps it very warm. So this worm, according to the website of this yarn, it's 8 times more warm than a normal wool, and it's lighter than cashmere, more luxurious. So the yarn that I picked has 15% of the qiviut and 80% of the extra fine merino wool and 5% of silk. So I pick out 2 colors. This one, I think I don't find a color name or color number on the label, but I think it's the nature color, as the website says, because I believe this is the nature color of the musk ox, plus the merino wool it used, so it's undyed. And for the other color, the color is called Apron Strings. So I'm very excited with this find, because it's the first time that I heard of the yarn qiviut. I always had the impression that cashmere is the most luxurious, most comfortable yarn ever. But I touched a lot of the finished pieces in the store. It's definitely the most comfortable thing that I've ever touched. It's super soft. It's not scratchy at all, and I actually weigh one of the cardigans, and it's super light. I feel it always weighs nothing. So I can tell this yarn is very soft, very light, and hopefully it will keep me warm. So with this yarn, I will probably knit a scarf. I have 2 of each color, and each yarn is 1 ounce, almost 30 grams, and it has 218 yards. So I think, but this yarn is in lace weight, so I bought 2 for each color to help them together to be a fingering weight. So I think I can easily knit any scarf with 2 balls holding together. So that's that. And I think that's everything for this knitting podcast. I hope you enjoy this content and hope you are also excited with what you are working on or what you bought recently. So please comment down below of what you are currently knitting on or crocheting on, or anything you're working on when watching this podcast. And hopefully I will see you very soon. Thank you. Bye.